we're really proud of. So we say yesterday we're proud. Tomorrow we're going to get better. But today, only one thing matters: win.
Joe Auer, thank you for sitting down with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for giving. Now that I'm retired, I need things to do. So this is wonderful, guys. Thank you. Yeah.
If you talk to anyone in Wichita about City League basketball, your name comes up pretty quick, and deservedly so. Winningest coach in the history of the City League, over 700 wins. I want to start from the beginning for you. You have a great story. So you moved to Wichita from Iowa City to take a teaching position at Heights. And the story is just fascinating. So in the late 80s, Wichita Public Schools were in a transitional period, right?
Correct.
Where ninth grade was moving to high school.
Yeah.
It was originally 10th to 12th grade.
Right.
So they needed more high school teachers. So while you were in Iowa, you were looking for a job, and you stopped into the University of Iowa. There's a great quote. I'm walking down the hall. I see Wichita Public Schools. So I interview and sign up. Just for practice. I'll do it. I go in. They offer me the job 5 minutes into the interview. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I just come here for practice.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, Dr. Evie's Cranford, representing USD 259, they were going around the Midwest to a lot of universities looking for teachers, and we were required to have 5 practice interviews as seniors at Iowa, and so I signed up with Wichita. The only thing I knew about Wichita was Wichita State baseball, being a baseball guy, and we'd had some guys that had come down here and played in the Jayhawk. Phil Stevenson, I remember his game where he gets picked off at first base. I mean, that was really my only visual. I think Iowa lost. Lute Olson called a timeout we didn't have in a game at Levitt Arena, maybe it was called that at that time. But not much. Had no intention of coming here whatsoever, but agreed to come down for an interview. And, my wife and I convinced my wife to come down a year later, and it's home. We never left, yeah.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
So you had no connection to Kansas or Wichita prior?
Neither one of us knew one person in the state of Kansas when we came here. I went to a fairly small Catholic high school in Iowa City. No diversity whatsoever. At the University of Iowa, Big Ten University, met a lot of different folks, but to come to Wichita, which is pretty large in the Midwest, one of the largest cities in the Midwest, was a big change for me. I knew nothing about the culture of Wichita Heights or the Wichita Public Schools. It was kind of a little bit of a shock to me, and I had a lot to learn. I'm very blessed that I survived that long, but yeah, I didn't know one person when I moved to the state of Kansas in 1988.
What pushed you down here other than the job offer?
Love. I mean, I was engaged, so I needed a job because I'm going to get married in a year. My fiance at the time has a year of school left, so I'm like, I need to have a job, make some money, and then we can go wherever. And they had a pretty good starting salary. Heights basketball at the time, they were ranked in the top 15 in the country by Street and Smith magazine. Guy by the name of Charles Goose Dowdy, kind of a legendary character, was the head coach. They had a group of sophomores that had made it to the, I believe, the semifinals. As the starting 5 were sophomores. Cortez Barnes, Dimitri Markham, Kobe Stokes, Jason McGee, Darren Dreifert, I was offered the opportunity to be the assistant basketball coach and the assistant baseball coach, and I was going to get to teach government, and then a class called Ethnic Studies, which I replaced a black gentleman, and I thought to myself, you're hiring me, a white guy from Iowa City, to teach Ethnic Studies. It seemed like kind of a stretch, but I had a group of kids who were very kind to me and let me kind of learn as I went along. But the basketball program was fairly well known. You go back to '77, incredibly historic team. So I thought, for a year, this will be great for me. And in Wichita State baseball, the first thing I did when I pulled into Wichita was I went to Coach Stevenson's office, introduced myself, and he couldn't have been more kind to me. And so I felt like at that time I really wanted to focus on baseball. And I thought, what better place to learn that craft than here? And so I just went for it. It was going to be a one-year experiment, and then wherever we would go, we would go.
Wow. What a fascinating time to be teaching government in the late 80s, early 90s. You had the Gulf War. Saddam Hussein invades Kuwait. There were riots going on in Los Angeles. Yeah. I think 50 people were killed in those riots and thousands were injured. Yeah. I bet that led to some lively discussion in the classroom.
Oh, without question. Real blessing. I'm a political science major from Iowa, which was a great place to learn that craft, where they have the first caucuses in the election process. Kind of grew up in a political family, so was really blessed with the opportunity to talk political science with young people. Never a shortage of topics. You're talking about L.A., Rodney King, watching the O.J. Simpson trial, and your students very divided about innocence or guilt and what it all meant. There's just never been a shortage of topics right up until COVID. Teaching during COVID was one of the strangest, toughest experiences of any educator's life, and especially in the public school system where we sent everybody home for so long. Teaching remotely, you had to reinvent yourself completely as an educator at that time, but really enjoyed the classroom just as much as I enjoyed coaching baseball and basketball, without question.
Wow, were you guys watching the O.J. chase in class?
Oh yeah. Everybody was.
Wow.
Everybody was. Yeah. It was fascinating. It was must see TV.
Wow,
without question. So. Through the years, a lot of intense topics, and especially a community like Heights, where there's so much socioeconomic diversity, and it's changed over the years. Today we're about 33% Hispanic, 33% African American, 33% white, and there's been some changes in that over the years. But for me, it was a beautiful place to teach. With all the diversity that it presented to a guy like me, and which made for very lively discussions. We tried to keep it rooted in the fundamentals of the Constitution, and try to keep your personal views out of it as much as you can. But try to give kids the opportunity to discuss their personal views. But never a shortage of topics teaching that class.
Yeah, man, we're still feeling the implications of the Gulf War today.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no question. So, or you have a presidential election where you come into class and you don't know who the winner is in 2000.
Right.
That was a very odd situation.
How long did it take?
It took about it was well into December before Gore conceded.
Imagine if social media was around back then.
No
the
question.
Conspiracies that would be, because I'm sure there were conspiracies ringing off back then. But
and most folks
goodness.
were just of the mindset it was close, and we'll wait and find out what happened. The first place your mind went was it's just a close vote, and you didn't go to cheating or scandal or conspiracy, which was unfortunately that's where our mind goes today. But no. People were just waiting to find out. The notion that you didn't know that night was had never really been experienced. So it was an interesting time to be in the classroom, and kids were very curious, but all we could do is sit back and wait.
Wow, the country in limbo for about a month.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just wouldn't work today. There's no way.
Right.
We'd rip ourselves apart.
Right, especially with social media. Everybody having a platform, it would be a problem. Yeah, no question.
Wow, amazing time. So you took over as the head coach of Heights in '96.
Correct. Yes, I was I was hired as a baseball coach in 1990, and 5 seasons of that, and then the basketball job came open. Coach Dowdy retired. And so my first season was 95-96. Yeah.
And you had them in the 6A championship in 1998, losing to Olathe South.
Yeah, it was Heights has been good for a long time, but when I was hired, they had won 2 games in the 94-95 season. The program, Coach Eck was dominating at South. Heights was not doing very well. So it was a total rebuild. And 96, my first year, we won 6 games. It didn't go very well. My first year in the league, you had Steve Eck at South. You had Carl Taylor at Southeast. You had Ron Allen at East. You had Dale Faber at Bishop Carroll, and you had Mark Potter at Capon. And here I come in. I'm the baseball coach at Heights, and not a real popular pick probably at the time to be the basketball coach at Hollywood Heights, where they've had some legendary coaches prior to my tenure, and we win 6 games. I learned a lot of hard lessons via those great coaches. 97, we got a great freshman class. We had a group of kids that we knew we could build around. Guys like, we had Travis Walk, we had C.J. Martin. We had a kid that had moved in from New York City named Terry Grant. We had a guy named Donald Payne. We had a kid named Levi Southern who was a hell of a point guard for us. We knew we had a core. In 97, big improvement. We won 7 games. So it wasn't looking very good for me. As a matter of fact, I remember telling my wife, this might be it. I mean, they're not going to, the Heights isn't going to put up with 3 losing seasons, and you need to be successful here. And then fortunately for us, 98, we had a decent year, but Southeast, Rashad Washington, they were probably the most talented team in the state that year. They beat us by 25 points at their gym, the second to last regular season game. We went to Bishop Carroll and got beat. So we've lost our last 2, but we get hot in the sub-state. It just so happens in those days, sub-states were predetermined. So we knew all along we're going to be playing Southeast. And so sure enough, Southeast has got to beat us a 3rd time in a sub-state championship in our gym. And we win. Close game, huge upset for us. And really, for me, kind of launched my career, my ability to have success at Heights. We went to the state tournament that year. We beat Junction City that had a couple of Division I players, Quentin Buchanan and Travis Reynolds, who were big-time guys. We upset them in the first round of state, and then in the semifinal, Mark Potter had gone to South, and we made 2 free throws at the end of the game to get into the championship game in 98. And in 98, it was kind of a strange year for me because not only did we lose the state championship in basketball, 2.5 months later, we lost the state championship in baseball. So I think, you get accolades and people, compliment you about things, but I think I'm the only coach in Kansas history, and I know in 6A for sure, to lose 2 state championship games in the same year. So that was even though it was a great year, it was also very difficult. The baseball team lost on a last inning home run to Manhattan. We were up, and anyway, it was an interesting time for a young guy. I was 32 years old, and getting to coach in 2 state championship games at a young age really gave me a lot of confidence. But also to have 2 disappointments like that was kind of was difficult to deal with. Yeah.
You talked about having to learn lessons in those early years against all those great coaches. What were some of those lessons specifically that you learned to be able to turn the program around the way you did?
Well, preparation is everything. Talent. There's no such thing as winning at a high level without talent. All championship teams have great talent, but most talent doesn't win a championship for a wide variety of reasons. You can't get kids to play together, poor coaching, whatever. But for me, it was preparation. It was scouting reports. It was watching film, which was a lot more difficult in the late 90s than it is today. You had to, basically in the late 90s, you had to have alliances. You had coaches that would trade film with you, other coaches wouldn't. Like Carl and Ron, who I have a world of respect with, they wouldn't trade film with me. I'd have to go elsewhere. So everybody had their alliances built up, and so it took a lot more to prepare a scouting report, to get information, to get intel. The one thing that was better back then is every game was covered by the media. I mean, probably until early 2000s, even mid 2000s, every game I coached in basketball and baseball, there was a Wichita Eagle reporter. They would do a write-up. They would have the stats. It was pretty easy to keep tabs on how other teams are doing, which is not the case anymore. Now it's hard for people to figure out when games are being played. But scouting, preparation. I've always been a disciplined guy. I've always, probably to a fault. If you ask veteran players, older players, they say I've probably softened a little bit over the years. But so that wasn't a problem. Our kids worked hard, they behaved themselves, but I learned about the craft of preparation and scouting reports, and also, we have a saying. We're really proud of. So we say, yesterday we're proud. Tomorrow we're going to get better, but today, only one thing matters: win. And when I was a younger coach, you get wrapped up in how you won. Or you would say things maybe at halftime because you were upset about how you were playing in the first half. There's no such thing. I mean, people always think coaches go off on teams in the locker room at halftime. That rarely works. You better figure out a way to be positive at halftime. Give them something that's going well. Give them some ideas to get better. So these are all things I learned the hard way, but just to be much more positive on game day and be more encouraging on game day and to be more prepared. And those coaches all. A lot of those guys went on and had great college careers, taught me a lot, and I was very blessed to be able to compete against them at a really young age.
Wow. And while you were still coaching baseball,
yeah,
all the heartbreaks. So in 2002, you had Adam Bingston and Mike Pelfrey.
Yeah.
And lost in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah. Well, the reason I bring that up, they became the number 1 and number 2 at Wichita State. That's amazing to have both those guys at the same time.
That, and there you go, high school baseball, single elimination postseason. And Bob Lutz crushed me. And Bob's a friend, but he crushed me after that game in the Wichita Eagle the next day. And it was a real strange deal. Adam set our single season earned run average that year. Had a phenomenal year. Didn't lose a game. Michael, obviously, is a freak, right? Well, we're supposed to play on a Thursday, I think it was, and it gets rained out. We come back on a Friday. The mound is fairly sticky, pretty wet. Well, Mike is a power guy, so we go with Bankston, who's a lefty. Crafty, he's having an incredible year, and he's better suited for the conditions of the day. I mean, Mike actually got the loss in that game. Mike came in, we had a lead, and it just didn't go our way. We had a lot of that happen in baseball. I feel like we had the best team in the state probably 3 or 4 times, and we just couldn't get it done at the state tournament. We lost 2 extra inning games in the championship. We had several teams that we knew were good enough to win, but in baseball, a lot of times if you're the 1 seed, you're playing the 8 seed, and the only reason the 8 seed is in the state tournament is because they got one guy. They got one arm that is really good. And I think that happened to us probably, 3 times. And it's for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Baseball is not a game of justice. It's a game of where a little duck snort flare can be a double and a line drive can be a double play.
Right.
And I mean, we don't have time to talk about all the things that we felt like it's baseball. You got to overcome that. And but yeah, that particular game, still haunts me. I mean, it's painful. That is a painful memory, because that was a great group of kids who won a ton of games. In 2001, that same group lost to Dewbey in the state championship game at KU on an extra inning home run. I mean, that hurts, you know. And so here comes that same group. We have another fantastic year, and it doesn't go our way. I mean, it really, and all those kids. If you brought that up with them, I mean, I see Mike a lot. We're pretty tight. We play some golf together, and you know, we'll start to talk about, and we just have to stop. It's too painful. Yeah, it's baseball is just a tough game to win. Charlie, Coach Ebright, and Rocky Helm, the coach at Mays, actually got to spend some time with those guys last year. I think a lot of people forgot I was a baseball coach because I've been doing basketball for so long. But those guys, I was actually nominated for the Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame. I was inducted last year and went up to Manhattan and spent an evening with Charlie and Rocky and talked to a bunch of old coaches and kind of rehashed some of that stuff. But yeah, that 02 game is that's a scarring memory, man.
Man, congratulations on the Hall of Fame.
Oh, thank you.
That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, how intimidating would that be, stepping in the box as a high schooler facing Mike Pelfrey?
Oh, yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, 6'7", and running it up there about 96, 95. I mean, the first kid I got to coach when I was at Heights in baseball was a kid named Darren Dreifert, who was, you know, the Golden Spikes Award winner, first team All-American, and then to coach Mike, pretty special guys. And Mike was just a great kid too. A lot of fun to be around. Mike played basketball for us for one season, his senior year. The draft was a bit overwhelming. He was just being bombarded. We were trying to decide on who his advisor would be. You can't have an agent at that time, but you can have an advisor in the draft. And interviewing a bunch of folks for that, we ended up going with a guy by the name of Scott Boris, who's a pretty, you know, he had actually been Darren's agent, which gave us a connection with him, with Mike, but decided, hey, let's take some pressure off you and play basketball. You're 6'7", can't jump, can't run. But he could block shots, he could rebound. He ended up leading the league in rebounding that year. And we had a really good year. There's a picture in the Eagle that somebody showed him recently that we're playing against a kid named Taj Gray. Winner wins the City League title, playing East. And it's the last regular season game of the year, and Mike, your only job is to box Taj out. And like first play of the game, he doesn't get him boxed out and it just gets dunked on hard. And the picture in the Eagle the next day is Mike, you know, crumbling under this ferocious dunk, and he gets taken out of the game immediately and, you know, gets yelled at. But he was an incredible kid to get to coach and then to get to see him have a great college career, and you know, he played a long time in the big leagues too. Mm-hmm. So and now Mike's, you know, back in town. He's a baseball coach at Capon, and you know, coached at Wichita State for a while. So and giving back to the community, it's good to have him back home.
That's great. Man, I didn't know that he was represented by Scott Boris. He's been doing it a long time.
Yeah. He's still at the top, I feel like.
Yeah. He was, when the 2015 Royals World Series team, he was an agent for a lot of those guys. Yeah. Hosmer, Moustakis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Darren, you know, Darren ended up getting one of the, you know, biggest contracts in big league baseball back in the day, and Boris obviously had a lot to do with that. So it was fun to get to know him and the guys that work with him and to see how that whole process. You don't usually get to experience that as a high school coach, and then to see a couple guys go through it was a real rare experience for me and gave me a very unique experience. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, after all that heartbreak, karma can find you in good ways. In 2009, Perry Ellis steps foot on campus.
Yeah.
What was your first impression of seeing Perry, and did you know then that everything's about to change?
You know, after after the 98, we were second. 99, we go back to state. 2000, we win the City League. And then from 2001 through 2007, it seems like we're 12-8, 13-7, runner-up in the City League for about 6 or 7 years. 08, we get back to state. We lose in the semifinal. We foul a kid, Dorian Green, who ended up playing at Colorado State. We foul him at the buzzer of the semifinal game. He makes 3 on a 3-ball. He makes 3 free throws to beat us. Heartbreaking. But we had guys coming back. But we got this kid, Ellis. And, yeah, I knew about Perry. I mean, Perry was in Sports Illustrated for Kids, I believe, when he was in 7th grade. His sister, Savannah, was a hell of a basketball player at Heights. So I knew the family. I'd had Savannah in class. Had gone and watched Perry a little bit. But I'm not a big I've always been about neighborhood kids. I've never been a guy who's going to go recruit. First of all, you're not supposed to do it. It happens in the City League. It's always happened. But I've never been that guy. So Perry's our guy. He's our neighborhood kid. Every time I went to watch him play, there were 5 or 6 high school coaches in the stands in his middle school games. And so had a lot of conversations with his parents. They had a chance to watch me operate. But I knew this was a different kid. He's 6'8". He's already getting lots of accolades. So when he's still in 8th grade, or getting ready to finish 8th grade, I invite him to the house because we know this is going to be a different experience. There's already incredible media attention. There's already, national rankings, and there's all kinds of speculation about what he's capable of doing. So I sit down with him, and he actually sits down in the living room with his parents, my wife, and I say, Perry, what is it you want to get done in high school? What is it you want to accomplish at Heights High School in the next 4 years? And Perry, when he's in high school, even through his career in college, he's very stoic. He's very... he's very close to the vest. Today, he's happily married, father of 2. He's absolute pleasant delight, likes to joke around. But at this time, very serious, very guarded. And he said, Coach, 4 things I want to get done. He goes, I want to win 4 state championships. I'm thinking, that sounds good. Yeah. He goes, I want to play Division I college basketball. I want to earn a college scholarship. Okay, great. I want to be a McDonald All-American. Okay, and this is unsolicited. This is just what he's coming up with. So he's obviously thought about this already. And then he said, I want to be the valedictorian of my class. I want to be a straight A student. And in my mind, I'm like, check. I mean, those are lofty goals. But I said, Perry, I think we can get that done. I think you can accomplish those things at Heights High School. I think you're going to have the type of teammates. I know you're going to have the kind of coaches. I know what your family's all about. I think that we're going to have an opportunity to accomplish that. No guarantees, but he clearly stated, which is really unusual for a 14-year-old, what his goals were and what he wanted to accomplish in high school. And so, he went to work. And he had great teammates. I mean, he came in at a time where, his freshman year, we had 2 seniors, Dorian Roberts, who ended up playing football at K-State, and we had a kid named Austin Bonner, who ended up being a decathlete at Wichita State. Really unselfish kids. Didn't care about a freshman possibly stealing the spotlight. We had a sophomore that we decided to make our point guard, which a lot of people were wondering if that was the right decision. A kid named Evan Wessel, who didn't look like a point guard, but he was just an incredibly smart, tough, competitive kid. Only cared about winning. He welcomed Perry in. We had a kid named Dreamus Smith who ended up playing in the NFL. Just a tremendous athlete, but also a loving, caring kid who was a ton of fun to be around, and all he cared about was winning. And then we had a kid named Terrence Moore, left-hander, that ended up being a 4-year starter in Emporia State. So we had all these great athletes, that only cared about winning. They all understood. Repeatedly we would tell them, you guys are going to get what you want, what you need by winning. All right, college coaches, when they call, they're not asking me for your stats, right? They want to know how you are at practice. They want to know how you are in the classroom. They want to know what your work ethic is. When they come watch you, they want to see your body language. They want to know if you can help them win. And they're looking for kids that win at a high level. So we had a bunch of kids that bought into that. And Perry, being at the top of that, Perry was never a guy who complained about number of shots, complained about stats. He just wanted to win. And I think he was kind of misunderstood because from the neck up, it looked like he wasn't even into it. His body was covered in scratches. He was incredible worker. I've never had a kid work as hard as Perry. He would get up every morning, 5 o'clock, go to the Y, get shots up, get some extra lifting in before school. And he did that, 5 days a week and shoot free throws. Wow. His first game was one of the most memorable games. Here's a kid, he's 15 years old. We're playing the number one team in the state, Wichita East, who happens to have 2 kids that transferred away from Heights because they didn't want to share the spotlight they didn't fit what we were trying to do. They were guys that didn't have Evan's mindset. They didn't have Dreamus's mindset. And so here we are playing the number one team in the state, Coke Arena. They moved the game to Coke. There's about 9,000 people there. Bill Self is sitting right behind our bench. And I got a 15-year-old who is hyperventilating. He's so nervous. He's a wreck, which I couldn't blame him. I mean, that's a lot of attention to put on a shy kid. And the other kids, I was telling you about, Dorian Roberts, Austin Bonner in particular, they tell him, hey, you just go out, get rebounds, have fun, don't worry. And we beat the number one team in the state. I think Perry maybe had 10 points, 10 rebounds. It was nothing spectacular. But from that point on, he relaxed, and the kids really encouraged him to be himself. They knew what a great talent he was. They knew how dominant he could be. But, typical game, you get to the locker room, he's taking 12 shots, but he's 10 for 12. He got to the line 10 times, and he made 9 of them. And he grabbed 15 rebounds. And, just the most efficient athlete I've ever had the privilege to coach. There was no wasted drama, no wasted energy. It was just, here's what I got to do to win. I'm going to do it. And like to share the ball. And when it was crunch time, wasn't going to shy away from the moment at all either. Second leading scorer in City League history. If scoring was what was the priority, he would have set a record that nobody would have ever touched because he was unstoppable. But you weren't going to win state championships doing that. I mean, we had to beat some great teams to win state titles, and when he was there, you always had to beat a great team to win a state championship. But it was going to take a team effort, and he understood that and bought into that, and also knew that by winning, everything that he wanted to accomplish was going to come his way. And it did. And it's one of the greatest privileges of my professional career to get to coach that young man. We've had a lot of great ones. I mean, Evan was phenomenal kid. We talked about Mike. But what the amount of pressure that was put on Perry, the amount of attention that came with being him, and it stayed with him the rest of his career all the way through, graduating from KU. How he handled that with grace and dignity and unselfishness is an amazing example to every young person that wants to compete. And he's still playing professionally. He's still playing in Japan, still making good money. And, like I said, happily married, 2 sons, and just killing it. I mean, just living a great life. But for me personally, just a blessing from God that I got to coach that young man and coach. And he had a younger brother that actually won a state championship with us too in 2015, Cameron. But just a tremendous family and a real blessing for me. And I learned a lot coaching that kid. trying to get him to lighten up a little bit and loosen up and have and trust. One of the things we did, because he'd always want to come in at lunch and just hang out. He didn't want to be in the cafeteria getting distracted to get his homework done. So we started playing chess when he was a freshman, and taught him how to play chess, and he just fell in love with it because it was strategic and competitive, and it didn't take him long to start beating me on a regular basis. But just a real unique kid who in my career, I've just never met anybody like him. And I think, obviously I'm biased, the most successful athlete in the history of the state of Kansas. Somebody might equal him. I don't know. You're never going to surpass what he did. He was a 4-time Gatorade Player of the Year, and just did it in such a classy way. So, great privilege.
Do you have a favorite game or moment that sticks out from the Perry Ellis era?
2, probably. Yeah, 2. Obviously winning the title in 2009 was really cool. And we beat Southeast, who had just worn us out over the years. And Coach Taylor, it was a great honor to compete against them. But we had a 62-game winning streak, which in Class 6A, 5A, state record. It was the longest winning streak in the country at the time.
How many years is that?
Wow. That was over. We lost a game in December of 2010, and then didn't lose again until February of 2012.
Wow.
So yeah,
wow.
It was quite a run, and a very unique experience. Who do you talk to about something like that? And so my job was really just to try and not talk about it with the kids. Just stay in the moment, stay focused. And we knew that 60 was 59 was the record. So we had to get to 60. I think we got 60 at your alma mater.
Beautiful.
Against Coach Auer.
Surprise.
It was a privilege.
And it was a good game. It was a good game. But the streak was ended that year. It's really weird. Here we are. We're the number. We ended that season ranked top 5 in the country by ESPN, which is the highest ranking in the history of the state of Kansas, wow. Right? And we had a chance to maybe be number 1. We had a lot of things, a lot of attention coming our way because of what we were doing, and Perry's having such a great career, and Evan had gone on to Wichita State, and but we lose to East. The second to last game of the year. Streak's over. And they had a great team. They had a great team. They had come close. We'd beaten them in overtime the year before, but they ended the streak. And then we turn around, and a week later, we got to play Wichita North in the last game in our old gym. It's televised statewide. A lot of coaches there. Connor is obviously a special player, and there's already been a bunch of hype. Connor and Perry playing against each other. The games have been sold out. If you weren't in line to get a ticket by 4:00, you weren't getting it. People don't understand that stuff now, but these games were, must see in the community, and they were sold out. So here we go. Our streak has ended. We're a little foggy. We've already won the City League, and that's wrapped up. And they come in, and Connor, and we're up at half. And they're playing this tricked up, diamond and one. Junk defense, to their credit, very effective. Probably the worst coaching game of my career. We're up at half, and like I told you, don't get upset at half. I get upset at half. We're not scoring the ball properly. We're still thinking about losing to East. We go out. Connor drops 38 on us in our gym. We only scored 38. Probably the most incredible individual performance I've seen from a high school kid. And so we end the season 18-2. We've lost our last 2 games, and so it's kind of a long story. But what are the 2 games of that era that I remember the most? Well, guess what? The next day we meet with the kids. They tell me there's two teams we want. We want East again, and we want North. Okay, great, perfect. Well, we get East in the sub-state championship game in Topeka, snowstorm. we got a kid named Gavin Thurman who was at Heights as a freshman. I'm talking about transfers.
Put at Missouri State.
Went to Southeast, came back to us. Hell of a player and a great kid. So we got Gavin and Perry, okay? We got a hell of a team. East has got a great team. I mean, they got a great team. Jalen Love, tremendous player, played at the University of Denver. They got a great team. And we go, I think we beat them by 3 at Topeka High School. Just probably the most pressure-packed game I've ever coached in, because if we lose the game, that's all people are going to remember. We lost 3 of our last 4. We didn't get it done. We had a chance to four-peat, which has only been done one other time. And that's going to be our legacy. So we probably put a little bit too much pressure on ourselves, but we beat East, and now we want to get a chance at North. Well, if they win their first round game at the state tournament, we'll get them in the semifinals, and they lose. They never, think about Connor. They never won a game at the state tournament. Excuse me. And they had a little different setup. I mean, but that year, the state championship game is against Blue Valley Northwest. They got a kid named Clayton Custer, and then Ben Richardson. I don't know if you remember those kids. They started for Loyola Chicago in the Final Four the year that Loyola had its great run. So that's who's on that team. 2 kids that are going to start in the Final Four about 4 years later are playing us in the state championship game. And close game. It's at Coke Arena. Probably 8 to 9,000 people there, and we win. A really close game, and it was probably more relief than joy, because there's so much pressure on the kids to complete this journey the right way. But those 2 games for sure are the 2 that are most memorable in that era.
Wow. When you think back, Heights had so many great players alongside Perry. Yeah. And I was gonna say there was another kid in the City League that was also playing. It was Connor.
Oh yeah. How
did you guys prepare for Connor? Because Connor was showtime in the City League. Sure, he was like must see. Yeah. There was almost nothing like him as far as just shooting capability.
He's the best high school scorer I've ever seen. Okay, shooter. Nobody. I mean, Jarek Harding at Southeast was really good. You can go back. Aubrey Sherrod at Heights, but that was before my time. But that kid was unbelievable, and you weren't going to stop him. That was never going to be the game plan. And the thing about Connor is he worked exceptionally hard. It wasn't like, he was a kid that his dad had him in the gym putting up more shots than probably the entire population of high school kids in the city of Wichita since he was a youngster. So we'd known about him a long time, but our thing with him is he's not going to beat us. All right, he's going to get 28, 29. And he's going to put up a ton of shots to get that. But you remember, our goal wasn't to beat Connor Frankamp. I mean, we always felt like those guys aren't going to win the state title. You can't win championships via that route, in my opinion. It's never been my experience. You've got to have other things going on. And so, he was a rhythm shooter. And so you tried to, we had a kid named Ely Bell that was pretty good at defending him. His first 3 years in the league. I mean, that 38-point performance, that was the best game he had against us. In 2013, that Ely Bell did a nice job on him. We lost to them in overtime in our gym. We weren't very good, actually, but we always had a pretty good game plan. A kid that's going to take that many shots means you're going to have a lot of fast break opportunities. And it wasn't, you could anticipate every shot he was going to take. So he was going to put up a ton, and he was going to get his fair share, but you're not going to beat us doing that. And we're going to punish you when he misses. And but he was an absolute, joy to compete against. I mean, the kid was phenomenal. It was a gift to the city of Wichita that you've got Ellis and Frankamp
Yes.
going at it at
Unreal.
the same time. I mean, this community has had eras from time to time, and that was definitely one of the most special times. Everybody wanted to go see those kids play, and Connor was special. But as we like to say at Heights, I mean, he never won a game at the state tournament. And that was always our goal. That was always what we were all about. And we beat him. We beat North. We played against Connor 8 times. We went 5-3 against him. He won the last 2 his senior year. But we had pretty good success against them, without a doubt.
What was it like interacting with the collegiate coaches during that time? Because obviously Perry has every blue blood wanting him. Evan went to WSU, probably had other D1s. Yeah. You said Terrence Moore went to Emporia State. Yeah. What was it like interacting with all these collegiate coaches?
That was a great experience for me. You think about any of the top coaches in the country at that time, they spent some time in our gym. We had an open gym one night where we got Mike Krzyzewski, we've got Bill Self, we have Rick Pitino. The blue blood of the blue blood coaches are coming through Heights. You had Frank Martin at K-State that time. You had Greg Marshall at Wichita State. Tremendous opportunity, not just for me, for our coaching staff and for our players. And we would get in the car on Saturday mornings, and we would go and take Perry's family, and we'd go watch college games, schools that were interested. We'd go to OU, we'd go to K-State, we'd go to Iowa. He and his family went to North Carolina, went to Duke, went to North Carolina. So, when Mike Krzyzewski is calling you in the classroom, that's pretty cool. I mean, he narrowed his final 4, the in-home visits. At that time, he got 4 in-home visits, and so Wichita State, Coach Marshall, K-State, Frank Martin. We had
KU probably.
Yeah, we had Coach Self, and then Coach
Duke.
at Kentucky at the time.
Cal.
Yeah, John Calipari.
I remember seeing Cal at Bishop Carroll once.
Yeah, Cal was also in our gym quite a bit. I was drawing a blank there. Yeah, so Cal, who was by far the smoothest operator of all 4 guys, the in-home visit with his staff was really unique.
I bet a guy like Cal has that down to a T.
Oh, it was
Salesman.
a master class in salesmanship. But all the guys were great. I mean, Coach Marshall was phenomenal, and they were just at the point where, they had won the NIT, I believe, in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Evan's on the team.
And so
No,
Evan,
not
that's
yet.
Evan's senior year of high school. So Evan's first year, they go to the tournament, but he redshirts in 2012. But they're on the up and coming, and Frank Martin's got it going at K-State, and so talk about 4 different guys. I mean, and Coach Self, really with KU it was about Danny Manning. Perry and Danny developed through the recruiting process a real close relationship. Danny had a great reputation for developing guys like Perry, and those 2 were real tight. And I think Danny probably had the most to do with Perry committing to KU, and it broke Perry's heart. I'll never forget. We were at the McDonald All-American game in Chicago, and Danny calls me and he says, "I've just decided to take the job at Tulsa, and could you let Perry know?" And I'll call Perry. But it really broke Perry's heart. He really wanted to be coached by Danny, and saw that as a real professional growth opportunity for him. Obviously, he had a great career at KU. I mean, 2nd team All-American. He was a Big 12 Scholar Athlete of the Year twice. I think they won 3 Big 12 championships while he was there. But, yeah, it was cool. for me. And I'd been through some of that with baseball already, so I was somewhat prepared because, we had about 10 Division I kids in baseball, high level guys, Georgia, Nebraska, a ton of kids that went to Wichita State, had draft pick kids. So I've been through some of that already, but that was a special time. It's fun when your contact list, they don't call me as much as they used to call me. So it's kind of fun. But those guys, they're great guys. I mean, if you said, "Hey, coach, I'm going to be in town. I'd like to come to a game, come to practice," great guys that,
wow,
who they had a job to do, but good folks that I really enjoyed getting to know and learned a lot from, without a question.
Wow, what an experience. I was WSU season ticket holders. I remember holding out a sliver of hope, like, oh, maybe Perry stays home.
Yeah.
I knew it's probably pretty unlikely.
Actually, I mean, he liked what Coach Marshall was doing, and family lived right down the street from Wichita State. Would have been real easy for him. Antoine Carr, Aubrey Sherrod. That influenced him, and they were selling that. Play at home, you'll be, and imagine had that been going on in the NIL era, right? It would have been a whole different deal. A kid like Perry, you're going to make millions of dollars playing college basketball. So he definitely took his time, was very thoughtful throughout the process, and I thought he did a great job with it. It was a lot of pressure for a kid. And his parents, Fonda and Will, super job. He had a sister who had been through it. She ended up playing at Memphis. So he knew a little bit what that was all about. But it was still, there's probably, hasn't been, and I don't know if there will be a kid recruited at that level, with that many blue blood schools from coast to coast. For all 4 years. So it was a very unique time, and I'm just blessed that got to be a part of it, and very thankful that we had the success that we had.
And he was such a slam dunk. Like, you just knew in high school, because sometimes it's a crapshoot a little bit. Some guys don't pan out. Perry, though, you could just tell, like, this kid is going to dominate in college.
He had a great career. He's top 10 scoring and rebounding in KU history. So phenomenal career. And, think about Perry. People ask, why didn't he make it in the NBA? Well, the big thing with Perry, he didn't have the wingspan. You watch those guys, you're 6'8", but you got a 7-foot wingspan. He's a 6'7" guy with a 6'7" wingspan. Can't palm a basketball, okay?
Wow.
Doesn't have big hands. And really didn't get to venture too much outside of the post when he was at KU. He probably needed to be more of a pick and pop guy. Stretch 4, get to shoot the 3 more. And he didn't get to do a ton of that at KU. They had some injuries that kept him playing the 5 there for most of his career. Perry was the fastest kid I've ever coached in my life. I'm convinced he could have been an NFL receiver. I mean, the kid, he could have been a state champion in track. His footwork was probably what made him probably the most special. He just tremendous speed, tremendous quickness, but understood angles and just worked real hard. He was a kid that when practice ended, hey coach, can we stay for another 45 minutes and work on this tonight? He just ate it and drank it all day long. So yeah, a lot of fun.
Wow.
A lot of fun.
Wow. What a kid to get to coach.
Oh yeah, a real treat. Real treat.
So 2015 rolls around.
Yeah.
Second round of the NCAA tournament, Wichita State and Kansas matchup, Evan Wessel versus Perry Ellis. How did you watch that? What was going through your mind?
Well, what a treat. I mean, first of all, very few coaches get to do something like that. But 2015, we'd won the state championship. And I told the boys, I said, listen, if you guys, you make it to the Final Four, whatever, I'm going to be there. And then the bracket comes out, and it's like, if you guys play each other, I can't miss that. My wife and I were actually we were skiing at Keystone, And we're watching the game. I want to say the game was maybe on a Thursday. The first round game was on a Thursday. Both teams win. So ski trip's over, get in the car, drive from Colorado to Omaha, and don't care who wins. I mean, just so proud of both guys and what they're getting done in college. A lot of respect for both coaches. Consider both coaches to be friends. And so I really don't have any skin in the game in that regard. Obviously, I'm from Wichita, so, I mean, the folks that I'm by are wanting Wichita State to win. But got a chance to go and visit with both kids on the night before the game. We went to both team hotels and had a little bit of time with the kids and just got to talk a little bit, and they were just laser focused, and Evan had an incredible game. Obviously, not a three baller, but his best shooting game of his career. Yeah, I mean, he just
5 big ones.
Yeah, I mean, and for a guy like Evan, whose dad was a shocker, his grandpa played basketball at Wichita State. I mean, my heart was just filled with joy for him because I knew how important it was to him and his family to win that game. And to see him play like that was pretty cool. And Perry, Perry got popped pretty hard early in that game. Got hit in the nose, had to come out. I think he was the leading scorer for KU in that game. Played a good game, but it wasn't their night. I mean, Wichita State was a pretty dominant performance, and Fred and Ron and Evan and Tequil Cotton. I mean, that's a pretty special group of kids that played for all the right reasons and were so well coached by Greg. But for me personally, I'll never forget because CBS called and asked if do you have any photos of the boys together? I'm like, well, yeah. I said, I've got one actually of Ron, Evan, Perry, and myself. We were on the All-State team that year, and there was one other kid, I think a kid out of Topeka. But so we got this picture. Ron's got the curly hair, and Evan and Perry and myself. And so we're sitting there, and I'd given it to CBS, and we're sitting there. And on the big screen, this picture pops up, and they showed it on the national broadcast too. But that was pretty cool to see that and just to be a part of it. And,
that one right there.
Yeah, there it is. No, that's it. Yeah. So the kid from McPherson was a hell of a player too. I don't remember the kid from. I think he was from maybe.
God, Ron looks like young Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. Ron was a heck of a get for Wichita State.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty cool. Pretty cool group of players.
Yeah, his story is wild. He walked on at Wichita State.
Yeah, Mitch Fiegel had played against him. Mitch, the former collegiate coach, they had played Ron's team at Scott City in the state tournament. And I'm talking to Mitch, and he's telling me, he says, "This is the best high school player. One of the best I've ever seen, other than Mo Evans, Maurice Evans. This guy, unbelievable." And he goes, he told me I can't remember. He said he's going to Pitt State or Fort Hays State. He had maybe one D1 offer, Arkansas Little Rock, but he was going to go the Division II route. And Chris Jans, I meet Ron and I'm talking to him. What are you gonna do? And I'm hearing all this. Hearing all this information about what a great player this kid is. And so, reach out to Jans, and I know Coach Fiegel did too, and they'd heard a little bit about him, and they decided to have him in and offer him a walk-on spot, which he accepts. And I think about a week into practice, they realize we've just committed robbery. I mean, this is the most incredible recruiting steal, right? And they scholarship him, redshirt him. But, for a small-town Kansas kid, didn't play high-level summer basketball, to get him and his story. I mean, Ron's a good friend, and he and Evan are real close. Play a lot of golf with Ron and Evan, and really cool for Kansas to have those kids doing well on the Wichita State team at the same time. Just a special time that I don't know if we'll have an era like that again, but I hope we do. But really cool time to be a Shocker fan, and
truly,
and for me to have a kid doing really well in Emporia State and have Perry's career at KU. I mean, I went to more college basketball games than I ever went to during that time period. Yeah.
Man, I remember Ron's freshman year. He had a hand injury a lot of the season.
Yeah.
And WC was kind of spinning their tires. They lost to Evansville twice. He gets healthy towards the end of the season, and they go all the way to the Final Four.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
He goes from walk-on to eventually having his jersey hanging in the rafters.
Yeah. I mean, you get to play in the NBA. I mean,
yeah.
And he's a guy that came back to Wichita, living here now, and Wichita's home, and a real treat to have Kansas kids at the core of what was going on out there. A lot of fun.
Such a fun era.
Yeah.
So I want to jump to a little later than that.
Yeah.
You coached against your son in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Take us through that.
That was probably the most difficult experience of my coaching life. Our youngest, we have two sons, David and Nick. They went to Capon. They grew up at Heights. They were little gym rats in our gym. But we're a St. Thomas Aquinas family. The kids went to elementary school, middle school, and then we said, you can come to Heights if you want to, or you can go to Capon. And they stayed at Capon. They loved it there. They both ended up playing college golf, and obviously playing high school golf. Capon's a place to be. So Nick, playing for a guy named John Cherney, was on a state tournament team there in 2013. 2014, his senior year. They're having an okay year. We're 5A, which is also a weird part of this story. We had dropped to 5A in 2014, and we were there for 5 years. We've always been the smallest 6A school, so we dropped to 5A, and then they expanded the classes again back in 2020. Went to 30. I want to say they went to 36 in 6A and 5A, so we were back into 6A. So anyway, just as things shake out, two things. Senior night, we're playing Capon, at Capon, and I got to walk my son out to half court, give him a hug, tell him I'm proud of him, and then, remind him, Dad's got to go to work now. And, my job is to spoil your senior night. So we did that. And now, sub-state championship game at our gym. And I've still got the card from that game. Your notes and what you're going to talk about and the scout on every kid. And, with him, I remember talking to the kids. He's pass first. He doesn't look to shoot as much maybe as his dad thinks he ought to, but I had a heart on the whiteboard and on my card, and the kids knew what that meant. And so I was really stressed out. Really, it was very emotional, and I was trying to keep it together because not only is it a sub-state championship game, which your team has worked for all year, but potentially it's my child's last basketball game. He's going to go on and play college golf at UMKC. This could be his last basketball game, and I know how much he loves ball, and I know how much he would love to win this game and go to state. So, your dad first, and so a lot of emotions going on. And my poor wife is, obviously, she got to cheer for our son, but she's going through hell. And it was funny. The game starts, and immediately, coach, right? I was able to compartmentalize that a little bit. I think he made a couple good plays in the game where pardon me, I was like, that was a good play, son. But for the most part, it was not a problem during the game. And really close game. They miss a shot at the buzzer. We win by 1. And I mean, the minute the ball hit the ground, Dad, like immediately, very emotional, went to him, knew what it meant to him. A special experience for sure, but really difficult to coach against your kid, especially in a high-stakes game like that. And I was really proud of him because he competed his butt off and had a good year, his senior year. And that was a very, very strange game for sure. And then go home afterwards. He's got all of his buddies at our house. They're having pizza in the basement. And, I got to come home, and we're getting ready for the state tournament. So
unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a unique moment that.
Yeah, not many people experience that.
Not many people get that type.
Yeah, I know plenty of
experience.
guys like Ron Allen, who was a guy I looked up to in coaching. He coached both of his sons, won state championships with RJ and AJ Allen, and I always kind of watched how Coach Eck, great coach, but never been married, no kids, left to go to college. So he wasn't really a guy that I could model what I was trying to do after. But Coach Allen East, I watched how he, raised his kids in sports, because it's a real demanding on your whole family. Coaching is, when you tell we told our family for. Until this past year, you guys get you get about 1 day to celebrate Thanksgiving because Dad is going to practice the day before, and we're going to get right back into the day after. Christmas, you're going to get maybe 3 days because we're going to practice, and can't go anywhere in June and July because we got summer hoops, and it's a sacrifice the whole family makes, and so to coach against him. I didn't get to see all of his games. That really stunk. I was able to watch film of the games, but if there's one thing I regret about that is I didn't get to see most of his games because we were playing on those nights. So, but it was a special time. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And now, a little further down the road, we're watching T.J. Williams play at WSU. I really like what I see out of him. He goes after, it seems like, every rebound, every loose ball, makes good passes.
Yeah.
How does he stack up with the other great Heights players that you coached?
Obviously one of the greatest. I mean, at Heights, the bar is set pretty high. Mm-hmm. And, he won a state title. He played in 3 state championship games, which is very, very unique. Most kids don't get to play in 1 state championship game. He played in 3. Much like Evan Wessel, a big guy, and we made him our point guard for 4 years. Very unselfish, could have scored a lot more than he did, but was all about winning, understood that he was going to get the things he wanted by winning. He had offers from Missouri, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, University of Iowa, Wichita State. He had a lot of Power 5 offers. I kind of in the back of my mind knew he was going to go to Wichita State. He grew up a Shocker. His family, huge Wichita State fans. He was a ball boy for the Shockers when he was a kid. But
oh, wow.
He probably what separates TJ from other players in our program is just his positive. If you watch him, kid is always smiling. Everybody loves TJ. He's the most positive energy that I've ever coached in my life. I mean, you could never have a bad day of practice with that kid in the gym, and he wouldn't let anybody else have a bad day. He was a Pied Piper. I mean, and it was really important for him. He didn't big time anybody. He wanted the manager to have a great day. He wanted the worst player to have a great day, and all of the teammates that he was starting with to have a great day, and the coaches. The most positive ball of energy that I ever had the privilege to coach. And the thing about TJ also, a different era. He's part of a state championship in 22. Well, who comes knocking on the door? Sunrise. Don't blame him, right? Don't blame him. Coach Luke Barnwell, and they offer him. And TJ and the family, they decide we're going to go to Sunrise. And so, obviously, I didn't agree with that for a couple of different reasons, but that's not my place. I said 100% support what you're doing. I completely understand it. Incredible opportunity. Luke does a heck of a job at Sunrise. And, thank you for being a great player in our program for 2 years. And good luck. And if we can ever do anything to help you, let us know. But, heartbroken. Because in my opinion, because that kid was playing high-level summer basketball already. So he's going out competing against the best in the country on the circuit. And so what you gain from representing your community, playing for your school, especially a school that's going to have a chance to compete for championships, in a program that's coached other high-level players, and be a kid. Do the things that high school kids do. Don't take your classes online and travel all over the place. You're already getting to do that in the summer. In my mind, I'm thinking that. I didn't say any of that. There was a part of me that said, I hope that maybe he'll come back. And he got there and didn't it wasn't for him. A week or 2 weeks into it, he called and said he wants to come home. He wants to come back. And Keisha, the Activities Association, said yes, because he's coming back to his neighborhood school. They hadn't started practice yet, hadn't played any games, and they released him to come back to us. And another kid that had a lot of pressure on him, a lot of attention, high-level recruiting. Another guy that we, get in the car and go to different places, and just a delight. And to see what he's doing now at Wichita State, starting as a freshman. He had a concussion, I believe, in the Rice game. And then he missed a game. And the Batiste kid has played really well.
He has.
Tremendous, 6'8", does a lot of things well. And so TJ, it seems like his role right now is coming off the bench. He's still playing a ton of minutes and just having a fantastic year. And he's having a great time. Sat with him at the Heights Caping game a few weeks ago, and he brought Giles and Boyd with him to the Heights game, and just a great group of guys that are, they're trying to win. It's hard to win in college basketball, mm-hmm. And they seem to have a formula for success, but they've lost some disappointing games. But TJ is doing great. Really proud of him. To be a hometown kid and to get that many minutes as a freshman is really, really a lot of fun for me to see how he's doing, and appreciate what Coach Mills is doing with him and the opportunities that he's giving him. Yeah.
We had PJ Kuznard in here a couple months ago, and he spoke very highly of TJ.
Yeah.
And they're probably playing their best ball of the year right now.
Saturday's going to be a big test.
Wins. I think
at Tulsa.
At Tulsa, Saturday. Tulsa. Yeah. No, I agree. Was at the Memphis game.
So are we.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, there's a recipe. There's a formula for success. They got to do. There's certain things they have to do well. Mm-hmm. They lost. I forget. Was it the Rice game where they shot? Maybe it wasn't the right. They lost a game where the free throw shooting was just. You're not going to win a game.
DePaul.
Yeah, you're not gonna win a game shooting free throws like that. So
no.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, they're in the mix. They're in the hunt in the American, and it's fun to see our guy. It's fun to see TJ having success and having a lot of fun with it. So great kid.
Awesome. My final question for you.
Yeah.
After 6 state championships, over 700 wins, what are you proud of the most when you look back on your career?
That's a great question. The relationships with students and players, the opportunity to motivate people to achieve things that maybe they don't think that they're capable of. It's quite a privilege to get to spend a lot of time with young people and to offer them an opportunity to better themselves. That's the great thing about sports. You get a chance to fail. You get a chance to discover what you're capable of, test yourself, push yourself. And so to be able to offer that to young people is probably the thing that I'm most proud of. I mean, I was at Heights. I coached in state championship games in 4 different decades. Actually, going back to Iowa, where I was a baseball coach at Iowa City, Regina, 5 different decades. That's a long time where you're getting to influence kids, and you have to reinvent yourself. That the ability to do that I was able to do that. You mean coaching kids in 1988 was a lot different in many ways than it was in 2025. Some ways still the same, but you didn't have to worry about a kid's X feed. You didn't have to worry about Twitter. You didn't have to worry about Facebook. You didn't have to worry about Instagram in the early 90s. What other things going on? But just the ability to, I've been really big on telling kids, reinvent yourself. You had a bad game, okay, tomorrow's a new day, reinvent yourself. A student has a poor performance on a test, all right, reinvent yourself. That's the great thing about kids. They're so resilient, and the ability to change when you're a young person and come up with a better version of yourself. And the only way any of us do that is through failure. And but to be supportive of young people when things don't go their way and encourage them to get back in there and try again. And I've had to professionally have to come up with new strategies and new approaches to do that. That's what my wife and I are probably take the greatest pride in, is that we were able to be a part of that with young people, for a long, long time. And hopefully it's something that I'll be able to, figure out a way to continue to do. But it's a real blessing to get to work with kids for that long, and they put up with me for that long. So I'm a real blessed teacher coach, and to be a teacher coach, the whole time. I mean, you had Coach Ebright in, world of respect for him and what he represented at your school. Yes. The guy's a teacher, and he's a hell of a baseball coach. I don't even think Coach talked about baseball, or very little, the whole time he was here. And that's what I've tried to be. I tried to be a teacher, coach, a professional educator, and a professional coach. I'm a big believer that high school athletes need educators that are in the building. You're not a guy that just shows up at 3:30 for practice. The high school experience is led by professional teacher coaches, and they're going to be fewer and far between. I hope we get some young people that are interested in the craft, but really proud that I did that. I didn't, we had plenty of chances to go to college and take that route, and really loved the craft of being a teacher coach and the influence you can make from 8 to 3 o'clock, and then a different influence from 3:30 to 6 o'clock. So.
Coach Ebright, he's just one of those teacher coaches that's a leader of men.
Without question.
Just a guy that can rally kids.
Oh, no question. No question. World of respect for Charlie and all he's accomplished. And we really enjoyed competing against each other. He probably doesn't have this a fond memory of this as I do, but my last game as a head baseball coach, the last City League game, 2007, Bishop Carroll at McAdams Park, City League championship on the line, and we beat Bishop Carroll for the City League title that year. So for me, that was kind of a mic drop moment. I was getting out of baseball because our sons were getting ready to play high school golf, but it only felt so good because Bishop Carroll was, we had such great battles against those guys over the years, and nothing but respect for what he's all about and what that program's all about. So. Yeah, a gentleman's gentleman. Like I said, teacher coaches. It's the craft that I just have a world of respect for, and we need more guys doing it, without doubt.
Well, sir, that's all I had. This was fantastic.
Oh, I appreciate it, guys. A lot of fun.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
You have anything for us?
No, keep going. I mean, you guys you've had some interesting folks in, and hopefully it'll keep going, and appreciate the opportunity. The City League is something that I was 22 years old, and so it's all I know. I mean, I retired at age 60, so very, very special place. It has a long, terrific history, and we need the community to continue to support especially our public schools and activities in our public schools. We've had some struggles. I mean, basketball's still been pretty good, but we need more kids participating in activities, and we need more adults encouraging kids to stay involved, and more young people that want to get involved in our public school system. So appreciate the opportunity to talk about City League history and most importantly, Heights High School, and been a great honor. Thank you, guys.
We figured you'd be the right guy to talk City League with, being the winningest City League coach of all time. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's been a real treat. Thank you.
Thank you.